It's time for Voice of Indie. Your hosts today are Beem Weeks, author, producer, and marketing monster for independent multimedia publisher Fresh Ink Group, and Stephen Gies, author, producer, composer, and publisher for Fresh Ink Group.
Happy Hump Day, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to the Voice of Indie podcast, episode number 39, getting closer to episode 40. I am your host, Beem Weeks, and we are welcoming back, after a week off, my co-host, Mr. Stephen Gies. How you doing tonight, Stephen? Are you well rested?
Well, you don't go on trips to get rested, or at least I don't. I always come back totally worn out from them. But I'm doing great. It's good to be back. I had a great trip. I got my Pfizer second dose yesterday and was kind of concerned about feeling crappy today, but it didn't happen, so I'm happy about that. But I went out to Nevada for a little while and visited with a friend who met me out there, and then we went on to San Francisco and just decided we wanted to just relax and have a good time. And I took some pictures and posted a few of them in my social media. If any of you want to go see them, my personal Instagram is Stephen Gies Writer, and my Facebook is Gary Stephen Gies, because Facebook wants you to use your real first name, even though as an author I go by my middle name, Stephen Gies, which, by the way, every now and then you'll hear a guest call me Gary if it's somebody who's had conversations with me outside of business and knows me a little bit better, so I'm all the same guy. But at any rate, one of the pictures that I posted that's been generating some buzz is I took a picture of the street sign intersection at Haight and Ashbury. And I've had some fun with that because the people in my age group all know what that is. And the young people who look at that are clueless. They just have absolutely no idea. So it's been kind of fun seeing what people think of those and what they guess what that has to do with anything. So I heard you had a great show last week, Beem, and the Wide Track guys were back, and I'm looking forward to going to the archives and listening to that show. Haven't had a chance yet. Did you have a good time?
Oh, we did. We had a real good time, and we talked music. And when you talk about Haight Ashbury, that's what I think about. San Francisco, the music scene. They had not one but two great musical moments in their history. Of course, in the 60s, you had Jefferson Airplane, Santana, the Grateful Dead, Moby Grape, Quicksilver and the Messenger Service, all these great bands. But then in the 80s, they had...
Beem, let me interrupt you just for a second before you do that. We're hearing conversation from the phone of our guest today, and I want to let you know that that's coming through, so we need you to keep quiet until we introduce you. All right, okay. I'm sorry, Beem. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So then the second wave was near and dear to my heart. It was the thrash metal scene in the mid and late 80s, early 80s through the late 80s. Metallica and Exodus and Testament and Death Angel and all those great thrash bands came out of San Francisco. So when I hear Haight Ashbury, that's what I think about, those musical moments in history. And it's a shame that some of the younger people don't understand that. They don't get that, but they can look that stuff up. But we had a great time with Ron and Zach Tippin from Wide Track. Played a couple of their new old releases, some older songs that they just recently released. So talked a lot about music and had a good time.
Cool. Well, I want our listeners to know that we've been talking a lot in the last few weeks about the republication of Gwendolyn M. Plano's book, her memoir called Letting Go into Perfect Love. And I want you to know that is everywhere now, all over the world, in all the different formats, and should be easy to order from wherever you like to order your books. We also have books from Phil Lippert coming out in the next week or two, probably a week or two after that, one from Karen Ingalls. Our next Willis Croft book, which is Robert G. Willis Croft's series, A Mac McDowell Mission, called Operation Arctic Sting. We're looking at having that out sometime in the next couple of weeks. And the audio book for Mr. Willis Croft's second Mac McDowell Mission book, which is Operation, my mind just blanked. I'll think of it in a second. But the second book in the Mac McDowell series is now available on audiobook, and you can find it after a whole lot of work from our Lauren on having to deal with those imbeciles at Amazon. You can find it on his page as well. If you want to go look at Robert G. Willis Cross audiobooks.
Yeah. So, listeners, if you want to be part of the show tonight, if you have a question or a comment for tonight's guest, you can give us a call at 516-453-9902. Once again, that is 516-453-9902, and we will put you on the air, and you can have your question and your comment and eat your cake, too.
And the name of that second Mac McDowell mission book is Operation Icebreaker. Just wanted to make sure I got that in there. I'm getting to that age now to where if I can't think of something, I know it'll pop in a couple seconds. Just wait. Also, listeners, if you would like to tweet, go over and post a comment or a question for today's guest, and make sure you put hashtag Fresh Ink Group in the body of the tweet, and we will see it. And we will comment and read your note on the air.
Yeah, and if you happen to miss an episode, hey, they're on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern time, and sometimes you might be out at the bar or out doing something else, and you don't get a chance to hear the show, you can always listen in the archive. We have, this is in several places, so wherever you want to choose from, freshinkgroup.com, go to the podcast page, beamweeks.com, go to the podcast page, StephenG's.com, go to the podcast page. Go over to YouTube and just type in Fresh Ink Group, and you'll come to our channel, and you can check out all the episodes there. And be sure to hit the subscribe and like button when you're over there. And we got all kinds of stuff over there. It's not just the episodes. We've got book trailers, and we've got interviews, and we've got all kinds of cool stuff. So go over there and check that out. And last but certainly not least, we can be found on Spotify. Just go to Spotify and check out Voice of Indie, all one word, and you will find every episode we've ever done right there.
Now, today's guest, we were hoping to have her book out by the time she appears on the show tonight. That didn't happen. She wanted to do a little bit more revising on the layout design, and we don't publish a book until the author is 100% happy with it. So we're doing some revisions on that right now, but still looking to have it out probably in a week or two. And it'll be for sale for a few weeks as a pre-sale, and then have an actual release date. But we're going to go ahead and interview her now and talk about it, listen to her commercial, and try to build some excitement, and then hope that you people will just hang on to that excitement just for a couple of weeks until we can get this thing out. So our guest today is Kanoe Kaye. She was born and raised in Honolulu, Hawaii. She saw her home's post-war political and economic status was expanding, but women were still expected to limit their aspirations to roles as wife and mother. Kanoe made no secret that she wanted more, and her mother encouraged her to go for it. She made 3 wishes at 19, to travel to Japan with her Polynesian revue troupe, to entertain on ships cruising the seas, and to travel while working for the airlines. My 3 Wishes is a heartfelt memoir of pursuing her dreams and bringing joy to appreciative audiences around the world. See the pictures and hear the stories from Kanoe herself in this remarkable chronicle of sharing love and success with her children, a wonderfully poignant affirmation of Hawaiian ohana, the idea that true happiness dwells within the family. Kanoe's story is both challenging and inspiring, an extraordinary journey that dares us to make and pursue wishes of our own. Welcome to the show, Kanoe.
Hi.
Hi there.
Welcome. So how about you start off and tell us where are you from? Exactly.
Originally from Honolulu, Hawaii.
Okay.
That's where I was born.
Is that for your whole life, or are you still in Honolulu? Where are you?
Oh no, I left there in '67, and I went to California. Stayed there, lived there for 2 years, and then I married a sailor, and we went to Guam for 5 years. And stayed on Guam for 5 years, and then got transferred back to the United States, and we're in Orlando, Florida, and that's where I am right now, and I've been here since 1974.
Hawaii, Guam, and Florida. So you like those cold Arctic kind of places, huh?
No, I really don't. I like warm weather.
Yeah, you and me.
Now, what got you into the whole choreography, the dancing, and all this? What was this something that as a child you were into, or is this something that as you got older you thought as an option?
When I was a teenager in school, I've danced since I was 3 years old in shows. So when I was in the 6th grade, my teachers asked me to teach all the students how to dance for the May Day program. And I did that all the way up to when I graduated from high school. And the choreography came whenever I was on Guam, and I recruited all my dancers never danced in their life. I taught Guamanian girls and Haole girls, which is usually Haole means a foreigner or a white person. And I taught them how to dance. So all of my dancers were originally my dancers that I taught and made them professionals. And that's when I would have songs. I learned from my instructor was Johnny Watkins in Honolulu, and I learned from him, and I see him in my show that's after him because he just didn't do traditional Hawaiian dances. He did everything. He did Samoan, Tahitian, Maori, which is from New Zealand, and we did a variety of things, and he was into bright colors and into black lights and torches and fire, and I learned from him, and I carried that on. So my show is not just a traditional Hawaiian show. And the choreography came is whenever I was dancing, and they composed some songs for Guam, and they would say, can you dance this? And I said, sure. So that's how I made up my own dances. That's how the choreography got there.
And are these professional dancers that you've worked with?
No, they were all beginners. They never danced in their life. How I recruited my dancers is if I would go to the disco, friends go to the disco clubs, and I would watch them, and if they could keep rhythm, I knew I could teach them how to dance. And Guam newspaper put an article with me, like a 2-page spread, and it said, if you can do the chicken, you can dance. And that's how I started. But all choreography from that time on is mine.
Yeah, I find it interesting. I find it interesting that you didn't use professional dancers because I guess in some instances a professional dancer may have learned certain things a certain way that would conflict with what you're trying to teach. So they would have to unlearn things, and that might take a little longer time. Whereas a non-professional dancer, it's like a lump of clay. You're kind of just molding and shaping them.
Right. And the girls that I taught, the Guamanian girls, they never danced Polynesian dances. So when I taught them, they all got my style of dancing because you tend to take you have the same style. And they were my dancers, and I would not train anyone unless I was using you in the show. Like they would say, can you teach me how to dance? And I said, if I can use you in my show, I can train you how to dance. But I don't train anybody how to dance unless they're my dancers. So they were exclusively my dancers, and they had all my styles. And besides the choreography, I also designed our costumes. So whenever we had our rehearsal or we practiced during the week, I would have them one night. They would come over, and I would say, this is our costume. This is how you make it. And we would all sit down and do it. And I would start them on it. They would take it home and bring it back, and they had their own costumes.
Right down to dyeing the skirts. That's all. That's hands-on. I'm not a seamstress now. Those bright skirts you see in the different colors,
the skirts we imported from Hawaii. But then all the decorations on it, like the belts and everything else that goes with it, the hats we made ourselves. So, but basic grass skirts from Hawaii, and I was the first one out that ever had a different color scheme when you dance. Everybody in Hawaii and everywhere else, when they would come out, they would have all red skirts or all white skirts, and I had each girl pick her color, and we all had individual colors, like, regular rainbow colors. And then the ones that the pictures I have with white and the red, they're raffia skirts. They came from the Philippines. I ordered that from the Philippines.
Yeah, now those pictures. Pictures, you have a wonderful collection of pictures, and I was the person who edited them when we were putting the book together. And one of the things that I noticed in your collection, besides, having a couple of famous people and stuff too, is many of them, it's members of your own family who are part of your troupe. Can you talk about that?
Right. My children started, I think Michelle was the first one. She started at 3. And, they saw me entertaining and all the attention that I got when I put on shows. And they would imitate the big girls, even though they weren't in our show. And as they grew up, they were to the shows. So the girls all danced, and the guys, my son learned how to do the night dance, but he didn't know how to do it until we went on the cruise ship. Because when we were hired to go on the cruise ship, the person that hired us from it was for Costa Line, he said, I just want to hire the girls, not the boys. And I said, well, I can't go unless my boys go because my husband was working. So he said, well, what are the boys going to do? And I said, well, my son does play the drums. And then he learned how to do the night dance. And the little one, he was like 7 or 8. He blew the shell, and we called him our stage manager. So when we were done dancing with our implements, we'd go on there and grab the stuff and come off. And then he would play the little drum. So each one of them did something. And that was very good because our whole family was on the cruises for 2 years, 2 summers we were on the cruises, and 1 spring break.
Oh, Hannah.
Yeah.
That's the way to be with your family and work together.
Well, here's the part that's even better. When we were going to entertain the Venezuelan people, and they couldn't understand English and couldn't speak English. So they were looking for an act that they could make variety acts. So we had a knife thrower, a comedian, a magician, and then us. And they would only let us perform 10 minutes twice a week. And we said, but our show is 45 minutes. He goes, no, 10 minutes twice a week. And the rest of the time we were passengers. We laid around the pool like everybody else. We ate we had our own dining room, but for breakfast, but for dinner or, like at lunch, we could eat up on the deck with everybody else, and the midnight buffet. So we were just like passengers. Now, whenever they had the dancing, for people to go there and dance, and it was early, and nobody would get up to dance, the band would come to our cabin and knock on our doors and say, can you come upstairs and teach them how to line dance? No one's dancing. So we would all go up there and dance and show them how to dance.
Great fun.
Yeah, but we had the best time. And I think that was the best job to ever have. And now they don't have such a thing. Yeah. So it was very interesting, too, because remember I said I wanted to work for the airlines, and I never heard of Eastern Airlines, and they flew us from Orlando to Puerto Rico nonstop. And I said, what's an Eastern Airlines? And then when I wanted to work for the airlines, Eastern was my first airline that I worked for. So it was kind of cool how things worked out.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, but we all still dance together. And now my grandson is blowing the shell. He's the son of my son, and my son is playing the drums, and my grandson is blowing the shell now. In fact, if you look at the picture with that boy, the little boy, with the shell, that's my grandson.
Oh, okay.
And then the other two girls, that actually my two granddaughters, they look like Howley girls because they're very fair because their dad is Howley. And they're the granddaughters, and then my daughter dances and me, and then my other girlfriend. So we're still a family show.
Yeah. Now, I do want to point out for our listeners that I wrote a book that was set in Hawaii at one time, and I did a lot of research for it. And one of the things that I learned is that Howley is not considered derogatory at all. It's just a friendly kind of a term, just to differentiate the different people come from outside the island and things like that. So, in fact, Howley Girl was actually the working title of my book. And that's a good time to interrupt and run a commercial for that book. And then when we come back, we'll talk to Kanoe a little bit more. And then the second commercial we'll run will be for the My Three Wishes book. Does that work for you, Beem?
Okay.
Yeah, and when we come back, we've got a couple of callers, so we will go to the
Great,
phones.
we can go to the phones.
All right.
Ooh, Papala Skies by Stephen Gies. Chicago native Rochelle Defortier likes to imagine the future. Her world a series of picture postcards so vivid they sometimes seem real. When a foolish mistake at 13 causes her mother's death, she's sent to a secluded Hawaiian valley, an outsider Howley girl among pigeon-speaking boys who hurl flaming Papala spears under the full moon to summon her mother's spirit. After boarding school in a prestigious university back east, the ambitious young woman is torn between chasing new career opportunities, discovering her mother's heritage in a remote French village, and meeting obligations pulling her back to Hawaii. On this island steeped in ancient mythology and modern superstition, Rochelle tests the possibility of sharing pieces of her life with those whose beliefs she barely understands and never intends to embrace. She dives the depths of a pristine coral lagoon, conceals bodies in a subterranean lava tube, and challenges the eruptions of a living volcano, even as she deciphers the truth about her mother's death and struggles to satisfy new debts born of old betrayals. Papala Skies is the story of a young woman who makes all the right choices only to find herself living an unexpected life. It is about the need to belong and seeking one's own version of truth amid such differing cultures' responses to wrenching loss and abiding grief. It is about yearning for a sense of place, yet having to confront new ways to honor the love of family and friends. Will Rochelle lose what matters most? Or might she learn what the smart octopus already knows? Papala Skies by Stephen Gies, proudly published by the Fresh Ink Group.
All right, and I can vouch for that story. I read that book years ago, and if you like vivid visual writing, this is the book for you. It's literary, and it's visual, and it's just a beautiful story as well. So go out and grab me a copy.
And I have never been to Hawaii. I just did all that based on research, but Kanoe's really got me interested in going and visiting the islands. So Beem and I were talking about that before the show. I'm putting that on my list. It's time to go.
Okay, so we've got
three
callers. Yeah, we got three lined up. So we're going to go to the first one here. This is going to be area code 407-342. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Sandy Bunker.
Hi, Sandy. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
I can't believe it. My girlfriend, Sandy.
I know. The reason I haven't called Kanoe is I'm up in the mountains at our place, and I don't get a signal. But tonight, since I knew you were going to be on, I went where I could have some internet so I could call you.
There you go.
Oh,
All right.
aren't you a sweetheart?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't miss it for anything.
You need to keep in touch because I mentioned you in the book several times.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, that's what you said. Well, we've had a lot of good experiences together for a lot of years.
Yes, we have. She went to Hawaii with me, too. I took her over there.
Wow.
Wow.
Took her to Costa Rica, too.
Yes.
I need to get on your friend list.
Oh,
yeah.
she's a good friend.
Yeah.
We've been friends since 1974.
Wow.
So can you
that's a
endorse
good
this
one.
book? Do you think this is going to be a good book that she's putting out?
Well, if she wrote it, I'm sure it's going to be good. I can't wait to read it, Kanoe.
Oh, thank you.
Great.
I know. There's so many things that we've gone through together. We were neighbors on Navy Housing. That's how we got to be friends.
Okay.
Yes. Our kids are around the same age, so we have grown together and with our kids.
All right.
Well, I'm glad you called in.
Yeah,
Well, you
thanks
have to
for
call
I
calling.
in
wouldn't miss
again.
it.
Yes,
I
thanks
wanted
for
to
calling.
say hello.
Okay, thanks.
And
I'm glad.
I'll try to text you. It's the reception up here in the mountains is not very good, but I will try to text you, Kanoe. But I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Okay,
Thanks
glad
again.
you. Love you.
I
Oh,
love
thank
you.
you.
Too.
Love you. Okay,
I love
All
you.
right. Okay, so we're going to move down to another call. This is going to be coming from area code 281. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Robert from Houston.
Hi, Robert.
Hi, Robert.
Whole lot of love
Hi,
going
Robert.
on tonight. Maybe we should make that a request. Playing songs.
Yes, this is Robert
All about
McKenzie,
the love.
everybody. He's the author of The Chair, published by Fresh Ink Group.
Book
How you
1,
doing
book
tonight,
2, and
Robert?
soon book
Yeah.
3.
Have you got a question
I'm
or a
doing
comment?
good. I would like to. Yes, I have a number of questions.
Okay.
Kanoe, is that how you say the name correctly?
Kanoe.
Yeah.
Kanoe. Yeah.
Okay, Kanoe. Yeah.
Yeah.
We followed each other this week on Twitter, so I want to introduce myself. I grew up on the Continental Airlines system. My dad was first a bag handler in Pittsburgh, and then for TWA, and they had the Connies, the Constellations. And we moved to Denver when it was the headquarters of Continental. And I know a lot of your story coming up is going to be about the airline, so I just have a few questions. But we moved to L.A.,
Sure.
Phoenix, Denver, Seattle, Houston. I ended up at UCLA. And I've been to Honolulu three times. And I also flew out to Guam once on Air Micronesia. Most fantastic trip probably I've ever had. It's the furthest west I've ever been also. But anyway, it's good to know somebody from Continental Airlines, and I thought maybe you'd have a few stories about that.
Oh, it's in the book. You have to buy the book.
Well,
Can you
I
give him a
said
little
I'd buy the
teaser
book,
what
but you
one
told
might
me
be
it's
about?
not out.
Oh, it's all about customer service agent and in Orlando. I only worked in Orlando, and then I became a trainer. And Continental was looking for 21 trainers to take on the circuit to train other people all over the United States. And I tried for it, and I was picked as one of the 21. And then after, I used to see all these people traveling, the business people, the businessmen, and I would be checking them in, and I would say to them, "You're so lucky. You get to travel everywhere." And they would tell me, "No, I would rather be home with my family." And I said, "Oh, no, but you're traveling everywhere. You're so lucky." Until I became a trainer, and then I realized what they meant. It's better to be at home, rather to be on the road all the time. And then I retired. I retired in 2008 from Continental, and was called back 4 years later by United. Whenever they merged with Continental and United merged, and I went to work in San Francisco as a special team to train the United people how to use the Continental computers. So I was there for 8 months, and I loved it. You know, we had our own hotel room with the kitchen, and everything was there, and they would transport us everywhere. So we were making very good money, and I worked 4 nights and off 3 days. And on the 3 days, one of them we would go to Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco and do things. And my airline friends, I would invite them to come out. So one of them would come out in a week, and then the next one would come out 2 weeks later because I had the hotel room and they could stay there for free and fly for free. So that was a nice place to be. I love San Francisco.
Right. I always like taking off in the
Guam
fog
too.
over the ocean there.
It's beautiful.
Oh.
Well, thanks for calling, Robert. We've got a couple more callers.
Thanks. I look forward to buying the book. I'll be watching for it.
Okay,
all right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
right.
Robert.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Robert.
Bye.
Okay, bye, Robert.
Okay, so we're going to go with area code 407. And hello, caller, you're on the air. What's your name and where are you calling from? Hello, caller, area code 407. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Going once, going twice. All right, so.
Boy, those free tickets aren't going to anybody now, I guess. Huh?
All right, so we're going to go to this call. Hello, caller, you are on the air. Where are you calling from and what's your name? Area code 510.
Is that me?
That must be you.
Aloha and hafa day, Kanoe. My name is Marie Banda, and I'm from the Bay Area.
Hello, Marie.
That's where I live right now. And I was one of Kanoe's dancers that went to Japan with her not once but twice. And not only was she a good choreographer, a teacher, and a mentor, she was also good in communicating with other people that we worked with. We were able to trade a dance with the Japanese people and also perform that on stage.
Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah, Marie was one of my lead dancers. She was very, very good. And I think she started her own group, right, Marie, in California?
It was just a family group, and we used to perform for our annual picnic that came up to about 500 attendees. We had to stop it because it was so expensive.
a little. That's big.
It started out with 100 people.
Yeah, because that means you learned from me and you started to carry on and use that, to teach other people. So that's great. Makes me feel
and
good
actually,
that you did that, girl.
Yes, because of her, it was an opportunity to not only learn how to dance, but it was my first time on an airplane and going to one of the world's largest city, which was Japan. So it was an adventure and it was an opportunity as well.
Okay.
And we did a good job there, didn't we?
Yes.
Thanks for calling in,
thanks
Marie.
for calling.
Okay,
we'll
love
keep
you.
in touch, Marie. Your pictures from Japan is in the book too, so you got to get that book.
Hey, Marie.
Okay.
Marie, next time I get out there, we'll all meet at Skoma's restaurant right behind Fisherman's Wharf. My all-time favorite restaurant, where I got to eat last week for the first time in a long time.
Okay, well, thank you, everybody. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you, Marie.
You. Love you.
All right. So we're going to do one more call here. This one is going to be area code 321. You are on the air. What's your name and where are you calling from? And turn your radio down, your computer down. I'm getting echoes. Hello, area code 321. You are on the air. What's your name and where are you calling from? And turn your radio down.
Hello.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi there.
What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes. My name's Kanani, and I'm calling from Orlando.
Hi,
Hello,
Kanani.
Kanani.
Hi.
Oh,
How are you?
He's my right-hand man. He's my
well, welcome to the
BFF.
show.
Yeah, right.
Occasional left
We're
hand,
in
too.
this together.
Yes.
Yeah, we're in this together.
Kanoe, you and I, we've been through a lot and everything else as far as the book and all the experiences we had. For some of the other people that don't know, like, why it was important for you to write the book and share your life experience as an entertainer, what was the culture of Hawaii at that time when you were doing this? Because, like, there's Auntie Kaye, there's Auntie Utila, and like for somebody that to dance and did all of this and had been in that same circle, I am noticing something that is so different. The culture at that time, that generation, and the generation now is so different. So I think that's what prodded you to write the book, because now things are done so differently. Now things are so strict as far as the dancing, whereas I think your generation did it like for entertainment. Now it's Go ahead.
When I was growing up, they did not teach Hawaiian in schools. We didn't know Hawaiian. My parents never spoke Hawaiian. And, of course, we spoke Pidgin, the broken English.
Right.
Yeah.
But I wasn't allowed to speak that. I had to speak good English. So as soon as I got out of the house, I would start speaking Pidgin. And Pidgin is like a shortcut of English. Like you say, hello, hey, how's it? And they would say, are you going to the show? Are you going to the movie today? We would say, hey, you going to the movies? And it's just our way of speaking. And we never spoke Hawaiian, and now they speak Hawaiian. They're very strict. They're teaching Hawaiian in the schools. And when I was growing up, I didn't know anything about politics because they never discussed that in front of us. It was more casual and laid back, and everybody trusted everybody. You never locked your homes. Everything was wide open, and we didn't have cell phones. So when the kids had to come home, they would just tell us, make sure you're home by 6 o'clock before it gets dark, because we all ate dinner together. There was no fast food places, so we always ate dinner together. And as far as the culture, my culture at that time, it wasn't strict. It was more or less you can do the shows the way you wanted to. And now they're really into the old Hawaiian, and they're into real, the traditional way. And it looks pretty. They have competitions over there. And I remember, whenever they have Hawaiian shows, I came over here and I learned, after I retired from Continental, I decided to go learn the traditional way again, because my shows are all modern type shows. And I met Auntie Kaye, and I told her, I said, I can't speak. I told her words for the songs, because I would always sing as I danced. So everybody thought I knew Hawaiian, and she would say to the students, okay, kaholo, and I would say, what's a kaholo? And no one would believe I didn't know any Hawaiian. And then that was just like a regular band, and then we did a swing. She would say, do a ka'o, and I would say, what's a ka'o? So I learned a lot from when our days, It was more relaxed and laid back compared to now. If you go to Hawaii now, everything is strict in the hula. So
right.
That's how things
so,
have changed.
Yeah. But see, what a lot of people don't know is that because of you, because of Auntie Utila, Auntie Kaye, doing the shows the non-traditional way and doing it for entertainment, basically gave a lot of awareness about Hawaii and a lot of stuff, because nobody would want to go see a Hawaiian show, if it was too traditional. So
I know,
because when I was dancing for Auntie Kaye, we were not a halau, we were not whatever. We were basically entertainers, dancers, and that was it. And it was a mix of all the Polynesian culture. So anyway, that's thing that I applaud you to do the book, because a lot of the legend people, they're no longer here, and they don't get a chance to say what they've experienced and stuff. So in a lot of ways, it's good that you wrote the book and it's going to be out and everything else, because it helps preserve the legacy of what it was at that time, that culture, that generation.
I know things have changed a lot, and you're right. Like everybody wants to be a kumu hula, which means a legendary, the old-fashioned ancient hula teacher, and I just want to be an entertainer. I'm out there to put on a show, and I'm happy, and you're happy, and it's colorful, and that's all I want to do.
Girls just want to have
fun. I'm
not
into the Hawaiian.
Yes.
It's all about being an entertainer, and it's modern. And you know what? If you go to a Hawaiian show, a traditional show, I hate to say it, but it's very boring if you're going to watch just traditional Hawaiian, because it's the same thing, same kind of tempo, almost the same kind of dance. And here's one thing I learned. I needed a bass player. And I went to Fashion Square where we had a show, and there was a high school band playing. And I went up to this high school boy, and I said to him, I watched him, and I said, how would you like to be in a Polynesian show where you can travel with all these beautiful girls? And he said, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'll bet he did.
So he came, I told him, I gave him my address and my phone number to my house, and I'm going to train you. So he came over. I went through the songs with him, and he was a very good bass player. And he was like a senior in high school. And then I gave him a cassette tape, and I said, here, take this tape, practice, and I'll see you in 3 days. Well, he came back in 3 days, and he was perfect. And I said,
wow.
How did you learn it that fast? And you know what he told me, and I didn't even know this. He said, Hawaiian music is like country and Western music. He said it's the same kind of timing.
It is.
Same kind of timing. Yep. And I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that. And that's why he caught on so fast. And that's how I found my bass player, and that's how I find my dancers. I go out and do my own scouting. And it's work. But now that I'm a little older, the scouting days are over. That's why I wanted to fly and go be with the airlines. I wanted to travel.
And travel
and
you did.
I fulfilled all my wishes.
Yeah.
See, I wasn't planning to write a book. When my girlfriends convinced me to write a book, because they would say, your life is very interesting. You need to write a book. Because they would say, what did you do then? What did you do before you got here? And then Kanani and I were in Daytona driving home, and I said, yeah, I'm working on this book. I'm going to have to find somebody to help me write it. And she said, I'll help you. And I said, you will? She goes, yeah. And that was the beginning of the twosome. So
right.
that's how we got together to writing a book. 'Cause she's very good about, I do apples and I do pages, and it had to be done in Word and then done in PDF. So she does all of that. But that's not even Kanoe's line of work because she's an architectural engineer. So she's learning and I'm learning, and that's why we ask a lot of questions, because this is something we hadn't planned on doing.
Well, thank you for calling in, Kanoe. We've got to move along because we got another caller waiting. So, but thank you for calling in.
Kanoe, love you.
All right,
Love
thanks.
you.
I love it when all the callers say "I love you." Beem, before you get to that next caller, Beem, why don't we run her commercial so that people can hear about the book, and then we'll take the next call.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Kanoe Kaye, born and raised in Hawaii. At 19, I made 3 wishes: to travel to Japan with my Polynesian Review troupe, to entertain on ships cruising the seas, and to travel while working for the airlines. My 3 wishes is a heartfelt memoir pursuing my dreams and bringing joy to appreciative audiences around the world. I achieved my wishes and more, creating a life that I cherish and others admire. See the pictures and hear my stories in this remarkable chronicle of sharing love and success with my children, a wonderful affirmation of Hawaiian ohana, the idea that true happiness dwells within the family. My 3 Wishes is proudly published by Fresh Ink Group in jacketed, hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats worldwide. Aloha.
All right.
Now that video, that's the audio portion of a video, which is over on YouTube in the Fresh Ink Group channel. So if you want to go over there and check that video out, you can see some of the pictures that are going to be in the book and get a flavor for what's going on there. And of course, like always, when you get there, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do. Our numbers are going up every week. And make sure you like her video. So far, her video has about 150 views, and that's pretty good for a book that's not even out yet. So go check that video out.
Okay, so back to the phones. Hello, area code 808. You are on the air. What is your name and where are you calling from?
Yes, it's Yvonne Duncan, and I'm calling for Sister. Aloha.
Hi,
Aloha,
Yvonne.
Sister.
Hi, Yvonne.
I can hardly wait to read your book, sister.
All right.
It sounds exciting, and I just love the colors of that cover. It's beautiful. You are gorgeous, sister. Love you.
Oh, thank you. I love you too. She's my best friend from Hawaii. She's in my book, and we've been friends for over 62 years, would you believe?
Wow, that's a good run.
Wow, now you're telling our age.
I think she meant 42, something like that.
Yeah. You know what she said to me? She said, "We've been friends longer than I've been married." She said, "I should have married you, Kanoe."
Well, when you make friends in the crib,
That's right.
Yep.
We were in the crib. Yeah, but we've been friends for a long time. Well, I'm glad you called again.
And we traveled together, too.
Yes.
Okay,
she works for Continental Airlines, too. Okay, bye. Love you.
Thanks
Bye.
for calling.
Thanks for calling.
All right, bye.
We do have another call, so we will go ahead and take this one as well. Hello, area code 407. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Lucho from Orlando.
Hello. Welcome to the show.
Lucho.
Hi.
Yes.
How are you?
Do you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, we used to work at Eastern Airlines.
Okay.
Yes, 31 years. 31 years in Eastern Airlines at Orlando, at McCoy Airport, at the cargo department.
Yes,
from there.
It's been a while.
From there, yeah, I retired in January 28, 1986. And from there, I went to work for British Airways for 9 more years. doing cargo.
Wow.
So you must be looking forward to seeing what's in the book.
Yes.
Yeah, I worked with him in Orlando.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Well,
I'm glad you called in, Lucho.
Yeah, they had Kmart in Kerryford and Semoran, but they closed it.
They had what? What did you say?
Yeah. I thought you said that you work for Kmart.
Kmart.
No.
That's what I thought he said.
Oh, not
Kmart.
Lucho. Not no, but hell no. Okay.
Okay.
Well, let me tell you one thing. I got to work my hearing aid from VA, and it's not that easy.
Oh.
Let me tell you, next August 28, I'm gonna be 93.
93.
Wow. Well, happy birthday in advance.
Yes, and Kmart was not an airline, so I didn't work with them.
Yeah.
Or maybe you were dancing in the store.
I don't
there
think
you
so.
With Eastern, I had a small 5-man combo, and we used to play all over the Caribbean, doing promotion for Eastern Airlines with my founding combo.
Wow.
Yeah, he plays music. He's a musician.
Okay.
Yes,
So
I play percussion. I play percussion, and right now I'm playing at my church, Good Shepherd Church in Orlando. I play the percussion.
All right.
Well, hang in there.
Well, thank you for calling.
Joe.
Thank you for calling, Lucho.
Okay, well, nice talking to you guys, and keep the good work.
Okay.
Thanks.
And again, happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Happy birthday. Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Now, Kanoe, you're a musician too, right? Do you play an instrument?
Yes.
Which
I
one?
play the piano. Play the piano, and I play the ukulele. And I'm thinking after I write this book and I want something to do, I might take bass lessons because I have an electric bass.
Ooh.
And I also have a full drum set. See, it was easier as a owner of a group to go and buy my own instruments because when I needed a bass player, sometimes they didn't have a bass because they sold it because they weren't doing it anymore. So I would have the bass. And then the drummers, my boys would play the drums, but usually when you find musicians, they don't have the implements, so I used to buy all of this. I had everything. I had a PA system that could fill up a big hall, a big nightclub. And I had this system over $1,000, and that was in the 70s. And I said to my youngest son, I said, what should I do with the PA system? I said, I don't want to sell it because I paid over $1,000 and they won't give me more. They want to give me like $200 for it. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. Son said, put it in your living room. So I hooked it up in my family room, and I have 11 speakers in the family room. And we, when I have parties, we have karaoke. So they have karaoke in the family room. I used to be a big party house. And then if you went on my screen porch, I had one of the employees, Nilo, he would bring his boombox, and he would play disco out there, disco and Caribbean music or, Latin music. But the karaoke machine in here, the one that I have, it would give you a score when you were done. Like it would go all the way up to 100. And the people that came would go in a competition with each other. I mean, they were fighting for the mic, like I'm next. And so I had the party house, and I really didn't have to entertain anybody because the house had all the entertainment things. And then at 10 o'clock at night, my daughter and I would put on a Polynesian show for 20 minutes. That's why they like to come to my house, because I get them all entertained.
Okay, now, before we run out of time,
Yeah.
I happen to be looking at your book, and I noticed there's a lot of pictures in there, and you've got some pictures of some famous people. Who are some of these famous people that you've met, and what's the story behind that?
Okay, the first famous person I took with was Ringo Starr. I was a model at the Honolulu International Airport, and I was a greeter model, and we would take pictures. You know, when you would get off the airplane and someone grabs you to take a picture of you, and then all the tourists would, go and buy it. Well, one week my photographer comes over and he says, we have to go to international. And I said, what's that international? Because we only work on the domestic. He said, we're going to meet Ringo Starr. I go, are you kidding me? He said, no. So we went over there, and he was on his way from San Francisco through Honolulu as a stopover going to Australia to meet the rest of the Beatles.
Wow.
And then the next morning, they took a picture of us, and the next day, it appeared in the San Francisco paper on the front page. And my brothers were in San Francisco, and they called me, and they said, how did you get the picture with Ringo? So I became very famous with their friends because they would say, this is my sister that took a picture with Ringo. And I've got pictures with Ringo in about 4 different magazines. And then I had a picture taken with Sidney Poitier, and he was on his way from here to Honolulu. He was going to, on his way to Japan for opening of Lilies of the Field. And those are the 2 best famous pictures I had. In fact, I was flying home on United Airlines one day, and I saw my picture in the magazine as I was flipping through, and I said, oh, my God, that's me. So they gave me 5 issues of that. And I have the original pictures with them. And Ringo had a big concert in Honolulu. And would you believe the newspaper, the Star Bulletin Advertiser, they found me. Even though my name was all changed, they called me at home and asked if they could interview me. And that's the picture you see with me in there in the newspaper with him. And he was having a big concert in Honolulu, and they did the separate flyer all about Ringo, and I was in that. And they found me 5 years later.
Wow. That's just one of the coolest things, because Ringo being a Beatle, that's rock and roll royalty.
Yeah, for you young people, the Beatles were a musical act in the 60s.
Well, believe me, the young people today even know who the Beatles are. They're still to this day, they're still one of the biggest selling bands.
And Kanoe has referenced disco music twice so far, too. And if you don't know what that is, look it up.
I know.
Yeah.
And Ringo, would you believe Ringo and we're born, we have the same birth date. I'm a year older than him. Oh, yeah. That's why I went on Twitter to begin with, because after they wanted me to do the thing for the newspaper, I thought, well, I'll go on Twitter, and then, if he sees me, then I can correspond with him. And that's why I went on Twitter. Otherwise, I wouldn't have even been on Twitter, But those are the 2 famous ones that I took pictures with, and I have a lot of magazines. I have the original magazines, too. So I make copies of it, so that I can put it in my scrapbook and you can look at. You can see the cover, and I tell you who's on the cover. Like I had Anne Margaret on one of them. I had the Beatles on another. I've got like 8 magazines with my pictures in it. So that's nice to have, and I preserve those magazines.
Okay.
Now, back when you were working on this book, your friend Kanani, who called in earlier, she was helping you get things put together, organize the pictures, and get your manuscript organized, things like that. And then she played a wonderful role. She did a good job. Both of you did a good job working on it. You mentioned to me that you had been talking to other publishers first, and I'm never one to let an opportunity to make Fresh Ink Group look good go by. So you want to tell us how you wound up with Fresh Ink Group and what that experience has been like?
Okay, when I first started to write a book, I was like everybody. They didn't know where to start. It was like saying, "Oh, I'm going to go in the yellow pages and look," you know. So what I did is I figured, okay, Amazon, I'll see what they can do. And when I went on there, I was not pleased. You know, it wasn't easy how to do things on there. So then I was talking to my daughter, and she says, go on Book Baby. And so I went on there, and Kanani was on there we looked at it, and it said, go ahead and, you know, she asked them for it, and they gave her instructions on where to find the template. And it was like do-it-yourself type. So she went on YouTube, and she called me one day, and she said, Kanoe, these people are nickel and diming you. You need to go you can't work with them. They're horrible. So then I was recommended by somebody else, and I tried her, and she's very busy, so she couldn't get to me for 2 weeks later. And then Kanani said, I know this lady that I'm in a group with her in a club, and she said her name was Karen Ingalls. She said, let me call her and let me reach out. So Karen Ingalls wrote back, and she says, I go to Fresh Ink Group. And then she gave us all the information. So then I pulled that up. So you're the fourth person I've been to. And we pulled that up, and I liked the way you had your prices all there and whatever you can do for that price. And then I think I sent you a message, and Gary got in touch with me, and we started talking about it. And he said, what were you looking at? And I said, well, I don't need all of everything, but I think I'd like the second group that you have. Not the most expensive, but the one below. And he told me that's the most popular one. And since then, we've been together, and Gary and Beem, they've been very nice. And in fact, I explained to Gary, I said, I'm just like a baby. It's like we're like the blind leading the blind with me and Kanani. So that's why we have to ask a lot of questions. So anybody that wants to write a book that don't know anything about it, I'm going to recommend you.
Well, thank you. And your daughter had a comment about the cover draft that we've done so far?
Oh, my oldest daughter?
Yeah.
She's so funny. Yeah, because she said she would design my book cover, and I said, oh, I don't want to pay more money for this. And she goes, no, I'm going to do it for your birthday. I'll pay for it. So she sent me the design, and it looked nice, but it was my picture. I wanted my picture on it, but then it was on a beach with sand, and it was with a bottle that says My 3 Wishes. It was very bland, you know. And so then I sent it to Gary, and I said, this is what she has. If you can make it look good, do it, because, you know, whatever looks good is going to sell the book. Gary didn't even know what colors I liked, and he made this color the cover, and it was so beautiful. We were talking one night. He said, are you near a computer? I'm working on your cover. Take a look at it. And I looked at it, and I said, I love it. So then my daughter, I showed it to her, and she said, oh, Mom, none of the Hawaiians, the kids in Hawaii will buy that. And I said, I don't care. She said, because now they're all, you know, in traditional Hawaiian. Everything is, you know, mute colors. And I said, I really don't care if they do or not. And she said, it looks too bookish. And in Hawaii, they call the Filipinos books. And I'm half Filipino. And I said to her, and I said, I like it. In fact, I love it. And that's how, you know, the colors were just perfect. In fact, I told Gary, I don't know how you guess it, but those colors are just perfect. It looks all over like me. And even my friends saw that. They said, this is you, girl. It looks just like you. And I said, I know, and I didn't even tell him. And even for the video, Gary picked all the pictures, and it came out really nice. Everybody that has seen it has complimented on it. So you guys are doing a good job
Well,
I'm
thank
glad
you.
I got you.
As far as
I'm
those
glad
colors, I had already edited all of the photos for the interior of the book, and I saw what colors you like to put on your costumes. So I just grabbed those.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was like you knew me so well.
All right. Now, listen, we're just about out of time, but I wanted to get to this tweet. Robert Williscroft, he weighed in on Twitter with the country music connection to Hawaiian music. He said country music comes from old-time gospel music. The Congregationalist missionaries brought gospel music to Hawaii initially. Before that, Hawaii had no music as we know it. This is why Hawaiian music is similar to country music. So there you go.
Yeah. Well,
now
that's very interesting.
Now, Kanoe, where can the listeners contact you? How can they reach out to you on Twitter and Facebook? What's your connections there? Your handles.
On Facebook, I'm better on Facebook than anything else, and it's on my name on Facebook is Kanoe Kaye, just like the book.
You spell that?
And Kanoe, and the last name is Kaye.
Right.
And on Twitter, I believe it's at HulaHips57.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm not sure of what it is on Instagram.
Right.
Well,
and
if they go over there and type your name on Instagram, they might be able to find it.
Yeah, they should be able to.
Yeah.
You also are setting up a fan page on Facebook as well, and we're going to have that link in your member page at the freshinkgroup.com website as well. But you're just getting started on that, so we need to give you a little bit of time, and you'll be filling that up with other pictures and things that aren't necessarily in the book, so that people can learn more and see more and enjoy the whole process.
Yes, I have over 7,000 pictures, almost 8,000 pictures, and I think 2,000 videos. So I want to go with the book, like chapter 1, and put the pictures that I have in that, and chapter 2, so they can go back and forth and look at it. But I have a lot of pictures. I am very interested in pictures. I'm always doing pictures. That's why I like it so much.
Okay.
Well, we have gone past our hour, Beem. I think we need to get wrapped up here. It's been fun talking to you, Kanoe. And
my pleasure.
I want to go look at those pictures again, because it just looks like I can just see all the fun that you and your family are having, and that sounds like quite a job. Dancing a couple of times a week, and then enjoying cruise ships, traveling the world, visiting Japan and Guam and places like that. It's a very fascinating memoir, and one that I heartily encourage readers to discover for themselves.
Indeed.
I feel very blessed to have all those opportunities.
Yeah, and we are looking for the book to be for sale at all the various retailers in probably about 2 weeks, maybe a little bit less. And it'll be probably a pre-sale period, maybe of 3 or 4 weeks before the actual release date. That way people can get in there and order it as soon as it hits the retailers.
That sounds great. And I'll get this picture to you so you can, the one you said had all the creases on it.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that and see what I can do to clean that up, fix the color, get rid of the creases and smudges and things like that. That's what we do. Anytime we put photos in a book, we spend a lot of time trying to make them look as good as we possibly can.
We go that extra mile.
My friends like that. They like that picture because I'm up in the air, like I'm in the air with a knife in my hand.
Ooh, a knife. All right.
Yeah. I did some more knife dance blindfolded.
All right, so listeners, go over to the Fresh Ink Group YouTube channel. Check out the video, the book trailer for Kanoe's book, and give it a like, and leave a comment and give her some feedback. And go and check her out on freshinkgroup.com. Go to the members page, and you will find her page over there too. So go take a look.
Now, listeners, we have referred several times to freshinkgroup.com, and in the past weeks we've told you that we're working on that website and expanding it. We've added new sections, new pages, new things for our authors, and we've expanded the opportunities for our authors to continue to promote their books that are not published by Fresh Ink Group. Because sometimes people will publish with several different publishers, and then they come to us, and sometimes we'll republish some of their earlier things. But for the most part, many of our authors also have books elsewhere, but Fresh Ink Group's philosophy is once you're a member, once you're one of our authors, we do everything we can to help you promote all of your books. So, yeah, definitely go check out the website and look for Kanoe Kaye's new page. But keep in mind, since we are still working on it, you might every now and then find some strange posting or something that we might have put there just to test things. So as we're working, don't be surprised to see things happening.
Indeed. And we are also working on some new videos. Now that Stephen's back from his trip out west, we're going to be hard at work putting together a couple new videos, one for Phil Lippert's book. His book is coming out here soon. And Ellie Collins, we're doing a video for her series of 3 books, and 2 of those books have audio books. And that was a blast putting all that stuff together. And so keep an eye out for that on our YouTube channel. If you're subscribed, you'll know when we put them up there.
Exactly. And like all audio books put out by Fresh Ink Group, those aren't just having a professional voiceover person do the read. We add music, sound effects, scratch and sniff, anything that we think we can get away with. We try to put them in there, and we do have a lot of fun making those. Now, next week, Beem mentioned Phil Lippert. He's our guest next week, and we're looking forward to having him. Beem edited his book, and we're expecting that to be out probably within 2 weeks also.
Yes, and having edited the book, I've read the book, and Phil is a fantastic storyteller, and he's got some great short stories. It's just a collection of wonderful and entertaining stories. So you'll want to tune in for next week and hear a little bit more about it.
Great. So thanks for all of our callers for calling in. Thanks, Robert Williscroft, for posting that tweet. And thank you, Kanoe Kaye, for being our wonderful guest today. We have certainly had a blast talking to you.
Thank you, Kanoe.
Oh, my pleasure. Okay,
all right.
Mahalo.
We will see you all next week, everybody.
All right. Aloha.
Aloha.
You've been a part of Voice of Indy, a production of Fresh Ink Group. Spread the word, support our guests, then find us at freshinkgroup.com and be sure to hashtag Fresh Ink Group.